I went to the Great Wall Buffet recently, and the last time I went there, I got my fortune cookie and looked at the message, and I put it in my wallet. And I'm not making this up, but it said it would be best to maintain a low profile for now. So I'm not going to speak about any of my own candidacy right now, but we do have two candidates here for the board election, and we have Jim Buss, who was briefly a candidate in the board election, and I guess he'll tell us something about why. And we also have a message from the other candidate, Tom Weiss, who may be sitting on a tropical beach in Cancun right now sipping something with an umbrella in it. But I have a letter from him. I'm going to read that first. He will not be able to take part in the Q&A part. Only Bob and Bill will take part in the Q&A part with the audience. And Jim, you will have a chance at 3 minutes to say what you want to say. Dear HSVTP, sorry I couldn't join you today. My wife and I made plans a little over a year ago to go someplace warm the first week of February, and it just wasn't possible to change those plans at this late date. I will offer to meet with any or all of you upon my return to discuss any questions you might have regarding my credentials, my views on issues facing the village, and how I would work with leadership, the board, and property owners to protect our lifestyle and our investment in Hot Springs Village. So let me tell you a little about myself. My wife Jane and I have been married for 45 years. We have one married daughter who has blessed us with 2 wonderful grandchildren. Over the years, we have moved 15 times and have lived throughout the U.S. and the United Kingdom. We moved to Hot Springs Village a little over 4 years ago and have been living the dream ever since. I am a graduate of the University of Missouri, ROLA, and have a BS degree in engineering management. Upon graduation, I accepted a commission in the Army and served 3 years as an officer in the Ordnance Corps. My professional background has been in leadership roles with successful privately and publicly held manufacturing companies. Over the past 30 years, I've used my leadership skills to build and lead 20 successful companies around the world. The last 10 years of my career, I served in both president and group president roles in a very successful Berkshire Hathaway company. Additionally, I have served on the board of directors of a privately held company. During my 4 years in the village, I've had the opportunity to serve on the Research and Special Projects Committee. The responsibility gave me the opportunity to work with leadership on projects related to business planning and budgeting. Like all residents and non-residents, I believe we must do all we can to protect the investment we have made here in the village. We must protect the amenities, services, securities, environment, and infrastructure we enjoy, and we must also protect the value of our home. If we are to protect our lifestyle and our investment in our homes, we will have to work together to address the challenges related to revenues and costs, and that is no small task. But just as important is the need for us to work together to ensure that we have a culture and environment that is caring, supportive, encouraging, proud of what we have, and very positive when sharing with others how great it is to live in Hot Springs Village. Property values are impacted by many things. Some we can't control, and many we can. One thing we can and must focus on is our excitement for our community. There is no doubt that a community filled with people who are excited about where they live will help create a desire for others to spend what it takes to join them. So why do I feel qualified to serve on the board? It's because the challenges facing Hot Springs Village are similar to those I have faced and overcome many times throughout my business career. So I am willing to offer my experience, time, and energy to work with other board members, leadership, and property owners to protect and grow this great place we call home. Again, I look forward to visiting with you after I return or at the next forum later in February. Sincerely, Tom Weiss. And let me add that I volunteered to substitute for him. He could stay here and be here today, and I could go to Cancun. So I think it speaks well of him that he did not dump his wife in order to be here today. We have, let's get you out of the way, Jim. We have Jim Buss, who is, by the way, the president of the Hot Springs Village Board of Realtors this year. Jim Buss with Big Red Realty. And Mr. Timer, give him three minutes and no more.
As Clay said, my name's Jim Buss. I'm owner of Big Red Realty and president of Hot Springs Village Board of Realtors. And I was running for the POA board before I decided not to run for the POA board. I think that's flip-flopper, follow that. The reason being, first of all, the reason I was going to run for the POA board, less than a week before a vote came up on the development contribution fee, 0.85% on all transactions in the village, sales transactions. We got notice of that a week before the vote. And Clay and I got together and we said, you know what, we're taxed enough already, so we need to do something about it. We only have 2 days to apply for the position, so we went down and applied for the POA to get on the POA board. But then Mr. Twiggs had a meeting with me, and since I'm the president of the Board of Realtors, the POA has never worked with the realtors in Hot Springs Village, never. And since I'm the president, he said he would make himself available to meet with us. He would get the board members to try and meet with us to see if we could come up with a resolution to this problem we got in the village, because the lots aren't selling, lots don't sell, house prices don't sell. And we're committed, we know, as realtors, we know this transfer tax is a bad deal. If it goes through, property values are going to go down, home sales are going to go down. It's not a good deal. We need to come up with a better way of doing it. Mr. Twiggs has lots of good ideas that's going to expand the village, make the village a better place, but we do not believe that we should be taxed for it. There's other ways of doing it, and he's offered to work with realtors so that we can do that. And one of the things to keep in mind, what their argument is this is a contribution fee. It's not a tax. So I looked it up in Webster's. I looked at contribution up in Webster's dictionary, and it says a tax imposed by a civil authority. That's incorrect. So, you know, somebody said once that you can put lipstick on a pig, but it's still a pig. But you know what? This is still a tax, and we need to do what we can to stop it. And I'm going to work with the Board of Realtors, put together a committee to see if we can come up with some solutions. And I'm supporting Clay because I know what his values are, and I know that he's not going to want us taxed anymore. So that's why I'm here. I appreciate your time. Thank
you. And thank you, Jim. You can go to Georgia now. He told me that he was supposed to be in Georgia, but he was delaying his trip in order to be here. So thank you, Jim, for that. And yeah.
Clay, are you taking any questions?
No. But here's an answer of sorts. At 5 o'clock tonight, we'll all be at a forum in the Coronado Center, put on by the Chamber of Hot Springs Village Chamber of Commerce. And if you have some questions, please bring them there. I don't think it's appropriate for me to do that here as moderator of this meeting. And so we have. Let's start with. I was going to say with Bill Clarence W. or Bill Rowe Jr. And he can just tell us whatever he wants to in 3 minutes. After they both speak, we'll have a Q&A opportunity with these two candidates.
Thank you, Clay, for inviting both of us to meet. It's always nice to get together with those of you that live in the village. First of all, that development fee, when I heard it, I was opposed to it. I'm still opposed to it, so I just want to let you know that right off the bat. I have heard a couple rumors that I was in favor of it. Why that started, I have no idea. But let me introduce myself. My name is Bill Rowe, and I've lived in the village since 2002. I owned a lot in 1992. We built a house, lived there 5 years. Decided we wanted to have a different kind of house. We built a house up on a view lot in 2008, and that's where we live presently. Been married to my wife Becky for almost 52 years. We have 3 daughters, 9 grandchildren. Interesting fact about our children, the youngest 2 are identical twins, and they each have had a boy or girl set of twins. So we have 3 sets of twins in our family. We are truly blessed. I graduated from Central Missouri University. I grew up in Missouri. Started work with State Farm Insurance Companies in 1965, and I was with them the entire my career, 38.5 years. Ended up in Bloomington, Illinois, at the home office. I'm currently an usher at Sacred Heart Catholic Church, and I'm also a member of the ACC, which is Architectural Control Committee. This year I am chairman. I've been chairman once before. I truly love this committee because we really look at the aesthetics and try to make sure that the village is pleasing to everybody. And it's difficult to please a villager while pleasing the village. Because sometimes villagers want to do things that don't make any sense. So my role as a chairman this year has been, every time this happens, I get this person into our meeting and we explain to them why we can't give a permit, but there are always alternatives. And in every case, I think it's 6 out of 6, everybody's been satisfied with our decision. So I'm strong on communication, okay? I've also volunteered for 2 ad hoc committees. One of them was the Gates Committee, and the other one was rewriting the covenants. One of my most cherished accomplishments, and those of you that get the Village Voice, you may have heard about this, but a couple years ago, there was a family that I found out about. They both were ill, couldn't work. One of their sons had MS with a brain tumor. They were living on $600 a month. I'm sorry, $900 a month. Their rent on their trailer was $600. When I saw them right before Christmas 2 years ago, they didn't have a penny to their name. And God spoke to me and said, you need to help these families. We put some articles in the Village Voice, set up a Summit bank account, and we raised over $20,000. They're now self-sufficient. I use a common sense approach in my life, and I'll use it. If you're looking for a director who's very energetic, organized, experienced, creative, ethical, and honest, then I respectfully ask for your support. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Bob Cunningham will speak next. And same story, Mr. Timer.
It'll be green, yellow, red.
Green, yellow, red.
2 minutes, 2.5, and 3.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, I'm Bob Cunningham. I've been in the village for 21 years. In 1962, I was discharged from the Navy and used my GI Bill to attain a business management degree. Went into the wholesale food industry and got promoted to a sales supervisor. In 1972, I was approached by my family business to join them in catering amenities to the lodging industry. Some of you will recognize that little coffee maker in your hotel rooms. At the time, that was the only one we had, and now there's 4 or 5 competitors. So I joined the family business, and in 1982, my wife and I purchased that business and have been running it until 1993 when we retired. In 1987, my wife and I purchased our first lot, and in 1993, we built our home on the west end and have been there ever since, thoroughly enjoying life in the village. My 20 years in the village have been spent volunteering in various activities such as the Westgate, the Chamber of Commerce, Welcome Center, the POA ambassadors, and the SCAP teams. I drove and scheduled for those too. I've also been a library volunteer for 20 years, and I've been a founding member of the Library Friends of the Board, Friends of the Library, and served as its treasurer. In 2013, I was appointed to the POA Appeals Committee, served on that committee for 2 years, and then I've been presently serving on the Public Works Committee. For the past 2 years, I have been diligently attending committee meetings, board of directors meetings, and and learning all I can about the village. And I've come to really appreciate the role that these committees play as advisors to the staff and the management and the board of directors. I've also come to understand the familiar concerns that the villagers have over their amenity programs and their infrastructure. So what I want to do when I get elected to the board is to provide a conduit so that no villager voice will go unheard. Bring a lifetime of experience in listening, understanding, and trying to seek solutions for parties that have known to have been very far apart. So I hope this role will be to help the villagers merge with the management and make the village a much happier place than it is today. Thank you.
Okay, the way we're going to do this, you can ask a question of either or, but both candidates get an opportunity to speak to the question. We've got just a few minutes to do that. Who has the first question? I'll give you the mic here. Who has a question? You do?
As a past president of the POA Board of Directors, I want to know how you plan to bring the village together as one entity without division amongst the residents, the east and the west, the north and south.
Again, you can both speak to this question.
That is a tough question, and that's really one of our challenges right now. How do we do this? I guess somewhat similar to what I spoke about with ACC is communication. And also thinking outside the box. I didn't really get a chance to say before, but I'm very creative. I drive my wife nuts because I'm always thinking about how can we improve something. And I do think outside the box. It's one reason why I'm successful at State Farm. And so I hope to be able to come up with different ideas about bringing people together, east and west, conservative, liberal, whatever. That's one thing that I can do is and listen to the people.
When I introduced myself, I told you that I was firm on communications, and I think part of the problem in the village today is all these half-truths and rumors that fly around. So what I'd like to do and find some way to get through to the villagers, so when they hear a half-truth or a rumor, they can get my email address, they can call me at home, whatever I need to do. I will get the facts straight, send them back their answer, and then I will ask them to pass that answer around. I think we also need to communicate with our non-residents. They read all this in the newspaper, they get all these rumors, and all they get is an advocate once every 3 months. So I'm going to have to come up with some kind of an idea where the management is going to say, okay, this is it. We're going to really start marketing to our non-residents. And if that happens, I think you're going to see everything change and turn around. As soon as they settle that Garner lawsuit, I think you'll see the village start to grow again. And with growth comes land.
I just want to say one more thing. I forgot to indicate, I've talked to several of the directors about an idea that I have. I think there should be a weekly column in the Village Voice, and it should be from the board, maybe in general, or even the president, to address everything that's going to go on in the next month ahead of time. Also to address some of the rumors or negativity in the letters. You know, it's been indicated that we have a lot of negative letters. Thank goodness in today's Village Voice, there were a lot more positive letters, and that's a good sign. But I think we need to communicate. If someone writes a negative letter and it's based on falsehoods, nobody knows that that's false, and we need to address that. So my recommendation, and I'm going to be really strong on this if I'm a director, is that we need to have a month or weekly column on this.
Jack, can you come up here and I'll meet you part way?
Okay. You may not know it yet, but where does the authority of the POA board end and the general manager begin? Because it seems like several of the projects have been secret to everybody except the general manager.
I'm not sure I understood your question. Are you saying the general manager knows more about it than the board, or the board knows more about it than the general manager? The first, is that what you're talking about, general manager knows more about the board? And if that's the case,
I'm talking about their authority to do something or to,
the general manager thinks he has more authority than the board, is that what you're saying?
yeah, more
Okay.
accountability to the board.
Yeah, I've talked to some of the board members already about this, and they have indicated that they're going to do a better job of letting the villagers know that they really are in charge. And I think in the past, it has been maybe obvious to some people that David Swigs is in charge over the board, and that's not the case. But I need to do, and we need to do a better job of communicating with the village that the board actually is the one in control, and they hire and fire Mr. Twigs, and they really control what he does. They do give him a pass to do a lot of things without a daily contact. Bob?
Thanks, Bill. Communications is what we need between the board and the managers. We hire and fire David Twigs. David hires his management teams hire the employees. So somewhere down the line, we have to get together and firmly tell Mr. Twigs, we hired you, let's do the job. Now, we have to set up some kind of a program where he's held accountable. And we look at maybe housing starts, we look at the budget, how much is being overspent. But believe me, if I become a director, I will be looking into this, because this thing with the .85 tax seemed to just come out of nowhere, and I have a feeling that the board was blindsided. They were. And that's exactly why it came off the agenda. So we need to fix this. David's doing a decent job. He's got a good plan for the village, but it doesn't do a lot of good to have him doing his planning when the board doesn't know it and the villagers don't know it. Thank you.
And maybe, I think just one more question for now, and then go to the meeting tonight and ask more questions. Yeah, can you speak real loud?
Yes, along the lines of communication, you're both touting that. Will you do anything to remove the 2-minute duration for speaking at a meeting? Residents are right now.
You have 2 minutes to answer that question.
Yes, I am aware of that, and I've seen that in action. I know why they did it, because I was there when some people went way too long, and there were a lot of other people that wanted to talk. That's the main reason, I think, is the 2-minute, because it gives an opportunity for everybody to speak. But I do think if someone is really talking about a real good subject and they're making sense of what they're talking about, I think if I was president, I would waive that 2 minutes on that particular situation. I want to hear from the villagers, and if they haven't expressed everything that they need to express in 2 minutes, I won't interrupt them. I don't think we should, but if the person up there is just ranting and raving and there's a whole bunch of other people, then maybe we should imply the 2 minutes. So I'm kind of for and against it at the same time.
Most of the people I see come up to the podium, excuse me, at that meeting are like myself. They're not orators, they're not public speakers, they're nervous. So what I would say is, if they have something to say, we need to listen. But at the point they start to ramble and repeat themselves, then it's time for somebody to step in and say, that's it. We also have an opportunity to present a presentation, if you will, to the board before those meetings and get it put on the agenda. I think that's the best way to go, because at a meeting like this, if you lose the people's interest, everybody starts talking, and you can't hear a thing from then on. And that's one of my problems. If you go to the board meetings, you'll see me sitting up in the front row, because I got hearing aids on, and I want to hear what's said. So yes, I am firmly behind maybe extending the 2-minute rule on a person-to-person basis, depending on how skilled this person is and what the problems is he or she is trying to present. Thank you.
I've always said that sometimes rules are made to be broken. In ACC, for instance, we have our rules and regulations, but sometimes my common sense overtakes that. We've had a lot of situations where the person did qualify for a permit, but when you use common sense, yes, it makes sense. So I would say that I would use common sense if I was the president, somebody was talking over 2 minutes, as I said before.
Well, thank you very much, Bill and Bob and Tim.